Hey guys, and welcome back to Hike Oregon. Today is the second video in the Navigation Basics series. Today I'm going to be talking all about the things you need to know about GPS devices and GPS apps. So I want to go over the different types of GPS devices and the different kinds of GPS apps that you can use. There are so many apps out there. I think people get overwhelmed and don't know which one to choose. So I want to talk about the ones that I have experience with and what else is out there as well. So first let's talk about GPS devices. The first device I wanted to mention is the Spot device. It's something that a lot of people talk about, so I thought I would mention it. It is not a GPS device in the sense that you cannot read a map on it. It is purely for communication when you do not have phone service. For example, the Spot Gen 3 satellite GPS messenger is $150 and you can send messages with this device. So this basically is for, letting someone know, hey, the hike took longer than expected, we'll be home soon. Or, hey, I'm lost, and then they can track your location. That sort of thing is super helpful, especially if you're solo hiking and you have people at home who are expecting you at a certain time. I would recommend this for something like that. Then there are GPS devices that have, the screen where you can see the map and everything like that. It kind of tracks your trail, and there's so many companies that make these and they come in a range of prices. So the Garmin eTrex 20 is $180, and you can download maps for it, you can see your current elevation, you can see where you are on the map, that sort of thing, and you do not need cell service to use this device. That is super important. That's why people get GPS devices, is because when your phone runs out or you do not have cell service, sometimes you can't use certain apps on your phone. So that's why people get something like this. A cool feature on this Garmin eTrex 20 is that it shows you in how many hours the sun is setting, which I think is super important, especially in the winter when there is limited daylight. It's kind of nice to know, oh, we have 2 hours of daylight left, time to head back to the car. So then it basically goes up from there. There's the Garmin eTrex 25, which is the touch screen one, so you can actually touch the screen and zoom in and out. The other one just has buttons where you can do that, so it's not as easy to use as the eTrex 25, but the 25 is $250, so it is quite a jump. $130 jump above that just to have it be touch screen basically. And then there are like the personal locator beacons, which is sort of like the Spot device, but you cannot communicate, so you can't send a message. So for example, the ACR Electronics Rescue Link is $269, and it basically doesn't do anything except it's a personal locator button. So if you are in an emergency, if you are mountaineering, for example, I would definitely want something like this on hand, because so much can happen and an injury can be super, super fatal in that kind of hiking, climbing situation. So if I was mountaineering or somewhere where there's avalanche hazard or somewhere where there's definitely more danger than where I typically go hiking, I would definitely carry something like this. For example, this past summer in 2017 was a high snow year on the Pacific Crest Trail, and a lot of people had to cross really dangerous rivers. In a situation like that where you think you might not be able to cross, I would carry something like this, because if you did fall in the river, it is crucial that you get help immediately. Those rivers can injure you, you'll be super cold, all your stuff will be wet. It is crucial that you call for help immediately in a situation like that, especially if you get washed away from the trail downstream. Definitely have one of these if you're in a situation like that. Those are the main GPS devices. The Garmin has a lot of eTrex models, so again, it went from the cheapest one being $180 and they just go up from there. For example, the eTrex 30, it's $300 and it's just a little easier to use. You know, it has a better display, it has more memory so you can load more maps onto the device. It also has a better receiver, so if you are in dense forest canopy cover, it would better be able to receive the GPS signal that way, whereas the other ones might not be as good in that situation. So you just get a little bit more for your money, you get more features. So just, it all depends on what's important to you. If what's important to you is, hey, I got the paper map, I have a GPS app, all I really need is to be able to send a quick message or to be able to signal for help, then I would get the Spot device. If you want everything in one, like I want to be able to signal for help, I want to message, I want to see the map, I want the waypoint, then you definitely jump up in price, you know, $300 to $500. So next I want to talk about the GPS options for your phone. I'm going to insert my cell phone screen here so that you can see what I'm talking about, but basically I use the Motion X GPS app. I have a full review on exactly how to use this. I will insert that video right here. You can click on that if you want to see how to use this, but I'll pull up a map thing here real quick so you can kind of see, for example, Kentucky Falls. You can see that this map overlay, I use the topographical map combined with the one that shows roads, because frequently if I'm driving there, I want to know the roads as well. That's why this one isn't as detailed. It doesn't show a lot of creeks and rivers. I don't really like on this one. I haven't actually found any other map overlays that are better than this one. So in that sense, the Motion X kind of sucks because you don't see creeks, which means if you had to cross a creek, it shows some creeks, it just doesn't show all of them. So in that sense, if you had to cross a creek, if you were lost, you wouldn't necessarily even know that you have to cross a creek later. It's a pretty decent app, you know, it costs I think $1.99. So for the price, it's actually a really, really good app. Again, if you want to see more and all of the features, click on the video. And then the other app that I use for when I'm hiking the Pacific Crest Trail is the Guthooks app, and I will share my screen right here so I can show exactly this is what that looks like. It's definitely a much better map, and this also works if you don't have cell service. So the map has previously been downloaded and you can then see it without having to use cell service on your phone. The awesome thing about the Guthooks app is that it shows seasonal streams, it shows road crossings, it shows places where you can camp. All of this is just really well detailed. It shows where there's roads, shows where there's power lines, it shows railroad tracks, it shows alternate routes. So yeah, it pretty much shows everything, which is really, really awesome. I highly recommend this if you are hiking any long distance trail. So Guthooks has maps for a ton of different long distance trails. There might be a total of 10 or 12 on there. I didn't really look through the list. I just got Oregon because that's what I'm focusing on right now. But I highly recommend that if you are hiking the PCT. Another map source that I use on a daily basis for the Hike Oregon business is caltopo.com. and I'll share my screen here so that I can show you all the features. Basically, here's a map and you can search anything. Basically, if you want to go to a certain lake or a certain waterfall that you know has a name, you just type that in. It'll take you to that. And then you can do different map overlays. Just if you want to see certain things, you have different map overlays. I prefer the FS Topo overlay, and I really like all these different features. So it does show trails, which is awesome. You can see current fires. You can see past fire burn areas. You can see if there's been precipitation there in the last 48 hours, whether that be rain or snow. You can see where the sun hits on the hills, which is super, super handy, especially in the springtime if you're wanting to go somewhere knowing if the snow has possibly melted there. So you can see, oh, the sun hits here 90% of the day, probably the snow has melted there, whereas if you're on the other side of the hill, it doesn't get any sun, snow has probably not melted. That's a great way to see if you can actually go on that particular trail in that season. And then from here, if you want to print out this map, for example, you can print out just the area that you need, which is really cool. And it'll print out this whole map. So I can show you right here. It puts a square around the area. You can kind of move it around however you want. And then you basically can print out a PDF of that area. So if you don't have a map of the trail that you want, you can definitely print it out using CalTopo. CalTopo is super, super useful, and if you want a full tutorial on this awesome online resource, let me know and I can do that. So that's pretty much it as far as electronic GPS things that you can utilize for your hike. Again, I want to say that it's important to not rely on these electronic things. There have been so many occasions, especially over the last few years, where people just press that personal locator beacon because they're in some sort of distress. I understand if you've had a snake bite, if you're injured, you cannot get off trail, those sorts of things, but please do not press that button if you are just not feeling well, or if you are in a panic because you think you got lost. Just calm down for a second and try and get your bearings, and if you are truly lost, okay, press the button, but just try and work through it before you press that button. It is so taxing on our local rescue services, which are so limited, to come and haul you out from somewhere. So just keep that in mind before you press that button, and don't rely on it too much. Please learn navigation basics. If you learn the navigation basics, you'll probably never have to use your spot device, and that can just be something that you have as just in case, not something that you use all the time because you don't know how to do anything else. So keep that in mind. Also, obviously always have a paper map on hand. Like I said in the previous video, phones can die, GPSs can die, they have batteries, they don't last forever. Maybe carry an extra set of batteries. Make sure to always have a paper map, a compass, and know how to use them. That is coming up next week. So if you don't know how to use a map and compass and know how to triangulate, stay tuned. Next week I will have a special guest for you guys, and he will explain all of the basics that go into triangulation. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next adventure.